The first thing Camille Vale notices is not Nora's face. It is the hand resting beneath Nora's stomach. The hand is familiar. Camille remembers those fingers curled around coffee cups, turning pages in bed, tapping silent rhythms against the conference table whenever Nora was trying not to interrupt. She knows the small pale scar beside Nora's thumb. She knows the silver ring Nora moved to her right hand after the divorce. But she has never seen that hand held like this, curved beneath the weight of a child who is unmistakably there. For one impossible second, Camille forgets the sentence she is delivering. 300 guests wait beneath the glass roof of the Marlowe Conservatory. White orchids climb the columns. Donors in black jackets and silk dresses hold crystal glasses beneath lights arranged to resemble stars. Behind Camille, a screen carries the name of her company in letters 6 feet tall, Vale Civic Systems, presenting sponsor. Camille has spoken to hostile boards, skeptical investors, and city councils determined to make her bleed in public. She has never lost her place. Tonight, she does. Nora stands near the rear doors in a midnight blue dress, one shoulder turned toward the stage. She is 31 weeks pregnant. There is no loose coat, no strategic handbag, no angle from which the truth can be mistaken for anything else. Beside her is a woman Camille recognizes from 2 photographs she once pretended not to study. June Alvarez. Dark curls pinned carelessly at the nape of her neck, strong hands, quiet posture, the kind of stillness that does not ask permission to occupy a room. June says something. Nora smiles. That smile is the second thing Camille notices. It is not triumphant. It is not aimed at the stage. Nora is not watching to see whether Camille has seen her. She is simply laughing at something June said, one hand under her belly, the other holding a glass of sparkling water. The audience shifts. Camille looks down at the cards on the podium. The words mean nothing. And that, she says, because finishing is a reflex even when thought has abandoned her, is how we build a city that does not leave its children behind. Applause rises. It is loud enough to hide the breath Camille cannot take. Serena Cole is waiting at the edge of the stage. She wears a silver dress Camille chose for her, and an expression Camille cannot read quickly enough. Serena follows Camille's gaze across the room. Her eyes find Nora. Then they drop. Serena goes completely still. "Camille," she says. Camille hands her the speech cards. "I need a minute." That is Nora. I know who she is. Camille descends the 3 steps from the stage. 2 board members move toward her, smiling, ready to congratulate her. She passes between them without slowing. A photographer calls her name. She keeps walking. The crowd seems to separate before her. It has always done that. Camille enters a room and the room adjusts. She has spent her entire adult life confusing that response with certainty. Nora sees her when she is 12 feet away. The smile leaves Nora's face, but she does not retreat. June looks from Nora to Camille and moves half a step closer. Not in front of Nora, beside her. Camille stops. Up close, the pregnancy is even more undeniable. Nora's dress stretches smoothly over the round curve of her stomach. A small movement passes beneath the fabric, quick and visible. Nora's fingers tighten in response. Camille hears herself ask, "How far along are you?" Nora's eyes remain on hers. 31 weeks. Camille calculates before she can stop herself. Separation, divorce, the last clinic appointment, the afternoon she moved out. The date Serena changed her relationship status, and then changed it back because Camille said it was too soon. 31 weeks. "I thought the doctors said..." "They said difficult," Nora replies. "You heard impossible." The sentence is quiet. It lands harder than anything Nora could have shouted. Camille looks at June. There is a question she has no right to ask, and no way to disguise. Nora sees it anyway. "No," Nora says. "You do not get to ask whose child she is." "That is not what I was going to say. It was already on your face." June takes the empty glass from Nora's hand. Her expression is calm, but her attention is exact. "Nora," June says, The car is ready whenever you are. Not we should leave. Not you need to leave. A choice placed gently where Nora can reach it. Camille notices that too. I only want to understand, Camille says. Nora's mouth changes. Not a smile, something sadder and far less available. You wanted certainty, she says. Understanding was never the same thing. Behind Camille, Serena approaches. She stops several feet away, near enough to hear, far enough to pretend she is giving them privacy. Nora glances at her once. Serena's chin lifts. She has the polished composure of a woman who spent years in communications departments, learning how to stand beside powerful people while cameras watched. But her eyes remain fixed on Nora's belly. Congratulations, Serena says. Nora gives her a small nod. Thank you. There is no cruelty in it. That somehow makes Serena look worse. A photographer's flash cuts across the room. Camille turns instinctively toward it. When she looks back, June has placed a hand at the center of Nora's back. Nora is already walking toward the garden doors. Nora. Nora stops but does not turn. Camille has spoken her name thousands of times. In kitchens, in bed, across crowded rooms, into hospital corridors when a nurse called them together. She has never heard how much a name can reveal about the person saying it until now. Were you going to tell me? Camille asks. Nora looks over her shoulder. No. Then she leaves. The garden doors close behind her. The glass roof reflects Camille back at herself from 40 feet above. Black suit, perfect posture, empty hands. Serena arrives at her side. Did you know? She asks. Camille watches Nora and June cross the moonlit path toward the street. No. Serena waits for more. Camille has nothing she can safely give her. In the car, Nora fastens the seatbelt beneath her stomach and looks straight ahead while June starts the engine. The conservatory glows behind them, all glass and light, and people who believe expensive rooms make private damage look elegant. Do you want to talk? June asks. Not yet. Do you want silence? Nora releases a breath. For 3 blocks. I can do 3 blocks. They make it 2, before Nora's phone lights in the cup holder. Camille Vale. The message contains 5 words. Please tell me the truth. Nora reads it twice. Then the baby shifts hard beneath her ribs, a long rolling movement that makes her catch her breath. June glances over. Iris? Nora covers the place with both hands. She is objecting to the evening. Good, June says. Someone should. Nora turns the phone face down. 3 blocks pass. June does not ask again. Nora does not answer Camille. But the question travels home with them. 18 months earlier, Nora and Camille sit side by side beneath a framed photograph of a beach neither of them has visited. The fertility clinic has tried to make the consultation room reassuring. The walls are painted a soft green. A ceramic bowl holds wrapped mints. A small fountain whispers in the corner, as if running water can soften every sentence delivered here. Dr. Priya Raman turns the monitor toward them. The imaging shows significant scarring in both fallopian tubes, she says. That helps explain why the insemination cycles did not work. Spontaneous conception would be very unlikely, but this does not remove every path forward. IVF bypasses the tubes, and your ovarian reserve is still within a range where treatment may be reasonable. Nora hears paths forward. Camille hears very unlikely. Nora knows this because Camille's hand changes around hers. The fingers do not let go. They become formal. A handshake held too long. What are the odds? Camille asks. Dr. Raman explains that percentages depend on age, egg quality, response to medication, embryo development, and other factors no scan can promise in advance. She explains that infertility is not a verdict carved into stone. It is a description of difficulty, sometimes a reason, sometimes only the shape of a question. Camille asks for numbers again. Nora looks at the fountain. In the elevator afterward, Camille is already answering emails. Did you hear what she said about IVF? Nora asks. I heard all of it. She thinks it is possible. She said it may be reasonable. That is not the same as possible. It is not the same as impossible either. The elevator doors open. Camille walks into the lobby without answering. At first, the changes are too small to accuse. Camille begins taking calls during dinner. She schedules board travel over clinic follow-ups and says the calendar moved, not her priorities. The folder marked family plan disappears from the desk they share and reappears inside a cabinet beneath old tax returns. Nora tells herself Camille is afraid. Fear can look cold on people who were taught that visible uncertainty is a kind of failure. Nora gives her room. She does not know Camille is using that room to leave. Serena enters their marriage through language. At first, her name appears in stories about work. Serena fixed the mayor's interview. Serena calmed the investors. Serena understood why the launch could not move. Serena stayed until midnight. Serena ordered dinner for everyone. Then Camille stopped saying Serena's name at all. That is when Nora begins to notice it. One Thursday, Camille comes home carrying the scent of cedar and a perfume Nora does not own. She kisses Nora's forehead instead of her mouth. Long day? Nora asks. Disaster. Do you want tea? I want sleep. Camille goes upstairs with her phone in her hand. The following week, Nora finds 2 tickets in the pocket of Camille's coat. A chamber concert on the other side of the city. Tuesday, 8 p.m. Camille had told Nora she was at a budget meeting until 11. Nora places the tickets on the kitchen counter. She does not photograph them. She does not search the coat for more. She waits. Camille sees them when she comes home. The front door closes. Her keys land in the ceramic dish. Then nothing. Who did you take? Nora asks. Camille removes her coat slowly. A client. Which client? Nora. Which client? Camille looks at her for a long time, and the truth arrives before the answer. It is visible in the careful positioning of Camille's shoulders, in the way she keeps the kitchen island between them, in the exhaustion that briefly resembles relief. Serena, she says. Nora sits down, because her knees make the decision before the rest of her. How long? It is not simple. Then use complicated words. How long? Camille places both hands on the counter. 5 months. 5 months includes 2 failed inseminations. 5 months includes the morning Camille injected medication into Nora's abdomen and pressed gauze against the tiny bead of blood. 5 months includes the drive home from Dr. Rahman's office, when Nora said they still had options, and Camille watched the road, as if the road were the only honest thing in the car. You were with her during treatment. I was trying to understand what I could survive. You could have tried understanding it beside me. Camille's jaw tightens. Every month was another procedure, another bill, another reason for you to hope. I watched hope take you apart. Do not make your betrayal sound like concern for me. That is not what I am doing. It is exactly what you are doing. The kitchen becomes very quiet. Camille has always known how to negotiate conflict. She identifies the objective, controls the variables, and offers the outcome, as if everyone reached it together. Nora watches her attempt the same thing with their marriage. Serena wants children, Camille says. She is ready. Nora looks up. There it is. Not love, not first. Certainty. And you think her body comes with a guarantee? I did not say that. You did not have to. Camille steps around the island. Nora stands. Do not come closer. Camille stops. I love you, she says. Nora almost laughs, but the sound would hurt too much. You love me like a house you have decided costs too much to repair. Camille flinches. That is not fair! Neither was sitting beside me in a clinic while you built another life. Nora takes the tickets from the counter. She folds them once and places them in Camille's hand. Go to her. Nora, go now, before you find another way to call this kindness. Camille leaves with one overnight bag. She returns 2 days later for the rest. The divorce takes 11 weeks and 4 meetings, because Camille can dissolve a marriage with the same efficiency she brings to a merger. Nora signs papers in a conference room 20 floors above the river. Camille's attorney offers coffee. Nora declines. Camille does not look at Nora's hands. There are no children to schedule, no house to sell, no custody arrangement to negotiate. The absence of those complications is described by both lawyers as fortunate. Nora thinks there are words that should never be allowed inside certain rooms. Fortunate is one of them. 3 days after the decree becomes final, 6 boxes arrive at Nora's apartment. Camille has labeled them in black marker. Books, winter clothes, kitchen, personal papers. The 5th box contains the pieces of a future they once discussed, as if discussion made it inevitable. Paint samples for a nursery. A list of donor profiles. A wooden rabbit Nora bought after their first insemination, and hid in a drawer because Camille said buying baby things early invited disappointment. The 6th box contains Nora's medical records. She lifts the folder out and feels its weight. Appointment summaries, blood work, scan reports, medication schedules, every page reduced to data, every difficult morning flattened into a line someone can file alphabetically. Several pages have been marked with Camille's precise handwriting. Unlikely is underlined twice. Near a paragraph about tubal scarring, Camille has written cause. Beside the recommendation for IVF, she has written success rate. The ink is recent. Nora sits on the floor between the boxes and reads the notes again. Camille reviewed the file after she had already chosen Serena. Maybe she was looking for permission. Maybe she was searching for proof that leaving had been rational. Maybe she wanted a number clean enough to protect her from the fact that marriage had asked her to stay without one. Nora closes the folder. She does not call. Her mother calls that evening. Marianne Bennett has never trusted silence. She fills it with questions, recipes, weather reports, and information about people Nora met once when she was 12. Tonight she asks whether the boxes arrived, and Nora makes the mistake of saying yes, in a voice too flat to pass unnoticed. What did she send? Marianne asks. Everything she decided was mine. That sounds like Camille. Nora sits on the floor with the wooden rabbit in her lap. Mom, was I foolish to keep trying? The line becomes quiet. No, Marianne says, but I think you believed trying hard enough could make 2 people equally brave. Nora closes her eyes. She said she could not survive more disappointment. Then she should have admitted she was afraid. She should not have turned fear into a fact about you. Nora runs her thumb across the rabbit's painted ear. What if she was right? What if I never have a child? Then you will grieve that, and I will grieve it with you. But grief will not make her right about your worth. Those are separate things. Do not let anyone staple them together. Nora laughs through the pressure in her throat. You have been spending too much time with office supplies. Your father bought a label maker. We are all suffering. The joke does not solve anything. It does something smaller and more useful. It allows Nora to breathe. After the call, she puts the wooden rabbit on the windowsill instead of back in the box. It is not a promise. It is not a plan. It is one object she refuses to make ashamed of existing. The apartment is above a bakery and begins smelling like bread every morning at 4:30. The pipes complain whenever the upstairs tenant showers. The bedroom window faces a brick wall painted with an advertisement for a soap company that stopped existing in 1956. It is not the townhouse she shared with Camille. It is not quiet. It is not quiet. It is not quiet. It is hers. Nora learns the building by sound. The baker dragging trays across the floor. The elderly woman upstairs tuning a radio to the same station every afternoon. The delivery truck arriving before sunrise. She learns that loneliness is not always silence. Sometimes it is a crowded city continuing without consulting you. She returns to work at the Bellwether Children's Library. The library occupies the ground floor of a converted fire station. The old engine doors have become enormous windows. Children read beneath red steel beams, while parents whisper apologies, for noise no librarian there has ever tried to prevent. Nora runs the after-school literacy program. She spends her days finding the right book for children who have already decided books are not meant for them. She knows how to wait without making patience feel like pity. She does not know how to offer herself the same grace. On the first Monday of March, rain comes through the east window and lands directly on a shelf of picture books. Nora moves 43 books in 6 minutes, places 2 buckets beneath the leak, and calls the building manager with a voice so controlled that he promises to send someone immediately. Immediately turns out to mean 4 hours. At 6:15, after the last child has gone home, June Alvarez walks through the front doors, carrying a toolbox and a folded ladder. She takes one look at the buckets. "That window has been lying to everyone," she says. Nora, kneeling beside a stack of damp books, looks up. "Windows lie?" "The expensive ones do. They let you admire the glass while the frame rots quietly." June sets down the toolbox. She wears work boots, a faded green jacket, and a pencil behind one ear. There is sawdust in her curls. "You are 4 hours late," Nora says. "I was called 28 minutes ago. The person before me is 4 hours late. I am early for tomorrow." Nora tries not to smile. June notices anyway. She inspects the window, removes a section of trim, and finds water damage running farther than anyone expected. Nora stays, because she does not trust strangers near the rare book cabinet, which she explains twice. "You think I am going to steal a first edition with a crowbar?" June asks. "I do not know you." June Alvarez, restoration carpenter. No known history of literary theft. Known by whom? June glances over her shoulder. "I like you." The words are casual. Nora feels them anyway. They talk while June works. Not about divorce, not about fertility. June tells her that old buildings reveal every bad decision eventually. Nora tells her that children's books do the same thing to adults. At 8, June closes the toolbox. "Temporary seal," she says. "I have to come back Saturday to rebuild the lower frame. Saturday is my day off." Tragic. "I was going to bring coffee." Nora looks at the repaired window. "The building manager can let you in." "He can." June takes the pencil from behind her ear and writes a number on the back of the work order. But he does not know which bakery downstairs sells the cardamom rolls. She leaves the paper on Nora's desk. Nora waits until the front door closes before picking it up. June returns Saturday with 2 coffees and 3 cardamom rolls. The extra roll, she explains, is insurance against structural disagreement. Nora sits on the floor beside the window while June removes the damaged wood. Sunlight enters through the open frame, cold and clean. They argue about whether the rebuilt seat should be oak or maple. June claims oak belongs to the room. Nora says children do not care about historical accuracy when a splinter catches their leg. June chooses maple. "You surrendered quickly," Nora says. "I revised my position after receiving better information." The sentence stays with Nora longer than it should. Their first dinner happens 2 weeks later. June calls it a consultation about paint colors. Nora calls it dinner because she has spent enough of her life allowing other people to rename things until they become easier to leave. June smiles when Nora says this. Dinner, then. There is no dramatic beginning. June becomes important through repetition. She appears outside the library, at closing with soup when Nora has a cold. She repairs a loose cabinet in Nora's apartment, and then teaches Nora how to repair the next one herself. She learns that Nora cannot sleep with a closet door open, and closes it without asking why. Nora learns that June hums when measuring wood, and goes silent when worried. One night, June finds the wooden rabbit on a shelf beside Nora's bed. She touches one ear with a finger. "This is beautiful. I bought it for someone who never arrived." June looks at Nora, then removes her hand. "Do you want to tell me?" Nora does. Not all at once. She tells June about the clinic in pieces over several weeks. The injections, the failed cycles, Camille becoming unreachable while standing in the same room. Serena. The boxes. The word unlikely underlined twice. June listens without turning Camille into a monster. Nora appreciates that more than she expects. Monsters are simple. Camille was not simple. Camille had loved her and failed her, and both facts were true. 6 months after the divorce, Dr. Rahman calls. "I reviewed your new blood work," she says. "Your ovarian response may be better than we anticipated. If you still want to pursue IVF, I think this is a reasonable time to discuss it." Nora sits alone in her office after closing. Children's drawings cover the walls. On her desk, a paper sun has been given 14 rays and a purple face. "What if I fail again?" Nora asks. "That is possible," Dr. Rahman says. "So is success. My job is not to promise either one. It is to help you understand the choices." Nora makes the consultation appointment. She does not tell June until the night before. They are in Nora's kitchen. June is sanding the edge of a small bookshelf she built from the leftover maple. Nora watches pale dust gather on the newspaper. "I may try IVF," Nora says. June turns off the sander. "Okay. That is all? Do you want more?" Nora folds her arms. "I do not know." June removes her mask and sits across from her. "Do you want a child?" "Yes." "Do you want Camille to know you were capable of having one?" The question is not gentle, but June's voice is. Nora looks down at the dust between them. "Yes," she says. "A part of me does." June nods. "Then let that part speak. Just do not let it choose." Nora's eyes lift. "A child should be wanted as a person," June says, "not recruited as evidence. If you can separate those two things, I will stand beside whatever you decide." Nora sits very still. Camille would have given her a recommendation, a timeline, a chart of risk. June gives her responsibility and refuses to take it back. "I can separate them," Nora says. June studies her face. "Today?" Nora thinks about it honestly. "Not completely. Then we wait until you can." They wait 6 weeks. Nora keeps the appointment but does not begin treatment. She sees a counselor. She writes 2 letters to Camille and destroys both. She takes the wooden rabbit off the shelf and places it in a drawer, then takes it out again, because hiding hope has never protected anyone. One Sunday morning, Nora wakes before June. Rain touches the bedroom window. June sleeps on her stomach, one arm across Nora's waist, holding her without knowing she is doing it. Nora thinks about a child at the library table, learning to sound out a difficult word. She thinks about small socks in the bakery-scented apartment. She thinks about tired mornings, impossible love, and a life no longer arranged around proving another woman wrong. She wants it even if Camille never knows. That is how Nora recognizes the decision as her own. The first IVF cycle begins in May. Treatment reorganizes time. Morning is no longer morning. It is medication at 6:30, water, half a piece of toast, and a message to the clinic before work. Afternoon is a phone call Nora may or may not want to receive. Evening is June reading instructions aloud, while Nora checks them against the page, because trust does not cancel verification. June never calls the process their cycle. She says Nora's appointment, Nora's medication, Nora's body. When Nora asks her why, June looks surprised. "Because I am with you," she says. "That does not make your body shared property." At the egg retrieval, Dr. Rahman collects 6 eggs. 4 fertilize with donor sperm, 2 continue developing, 1 is transferred. For 9 days, Nora becomes aware of every sensation inside herself. A cramp is hope. The absence of a cramp is fear. She knows this is useless. She does it anyway. The call comes while she is shelving books. Dr. Rahman says the blood test is negative. Nora thanks her. She puts the phone down. She returns 1 book to the wrong shelf and stares at it as though the alphabet has betrayed her. June finds her 40 minutes later in the empty reading room. Nora is sitting on the new maple window seat with her coat still on. Rain marks the glass in narrow silver lines. The temporary hope she allowed herself has already become embarrassing in memory. June sits beside her. "It did not work," Nora says. "I know." "Dr. Rahman called you?" "No. You put a book about whales in medieval history." Nora laughs once. The laugh breaks apart, and then she is crying. June does not say they can try again. She does not say at least. She does not say everything happens at the right time, because some sentences are designed to make the speaker comfortable while the listener bleeds. She sits beside Nora until the rain stops. For 12 days, Nora decides she is finished. On the 13th, Dr. Rahman explains that one frozen embryo remains. There is no guarantee it will survive thawing, implant, or continue. There is only a path that still exists. Nora schedules the transfer for June. The morning of the blood test, she wakes at 5 and lies motionless beside June until the room begins to turn gray. June opens her eyes. "You have been awake for an hour," she says. 20 minutes. You count loudly. They drive to the clinic without music. The nurse draws blood at 7:12. Nora goes to work. She reads the same story to 2 groups of children and cannot remember a word of it afterward. At 1:46, her phone rings. "Your level is positive," Dr. Rahman says. "It is early, and we need repeat tests. But today you are pregnant." Nora grips the edge of her desk. "Today," she repeats. "Today." After the call, Nora remains seated. The paper sun with 14 purple rays smiles down from the wall. Outside her office, someone laughs. A cart rolls across the floor. The ordinary world refuses to become cinematic for her. She opens Camille's old contact. The number is still there because deleting it had felt theatrical, and Nora has always distrusted gestures performed for an audience of one. Her thumb hovers over the message icon. Then she closes the contact and calls June. June answers on the second ring. Power tools roar behind her. "Give me 10 seconds, she shouts. The noise stops. "Okay, tell me." Nora cannot. Her breath becomes a laugh, then a sob, then both. June goes silent. "Nora?" "Today," Nora says. She said, "Today I am pregnant." There is a sound as if June has sat down very quickly. "Today," June repeats. "It is early. We have to repeat the test. Nothing is guaranteed." "I know." "I am afraid to be happy." "Then I will not ask you to be." Nora closes her eyes. "What do I do?" "Come home," June says. "We will make dinner. We will let today be true for one day. Tomorrow can arrive when it arrives." The embryo holds. At 6 weeks, they see a flicker on the monitor. At 9, they hear a heartbeat that seems too fast and too determined to belong to something the size of a grape. At 12, Dr. Rahman tells them the pregnancy is progressing normally. June does not touch Nora's stomach without asking, until the first movement happens at 19 weeks. They are in the hardware store debating cabinet handles when Nora freezes beside a display of hinges. "What?" June asks. Nora takes June's hand and places it below her navel. Nothing happens. June waits. Then a small flutter passes beneath Nora's skin. June's face opens in a way Nora has never seen. Wonder strips every practiced expression away. "Was that?" "Yes." The baby moves again. June begins crying, between brushed nickel and antique brass. Nora laughs so hard an employee asks whether they need help. "No," June says, wiping her face. "We have exactly what we need." They name the baby Iris because June says an iris survives bad weather without becoming hard. Nora does not post announcements. She tells her mother, her sister, 3 friends, and the entire library staff after a child asks why Miss Bennet is getting round. Camille learns beneath a roof made of glass. Camille does not remember the drive home from the conservatory. Serena sits beside her in the back of the car. Their driver keeps his eyes on the road. Between them, the silence has weight. At the apartment, Serena removes her earrings and places them on the entry table. "Say something," she says. Camille loosens her collar. "I do not know what you want me to say. Start with what happened to you in that room." I was surprised. "You forgot your own speech." Camille walks to the kitchen and pours water she does not drink. "We spent 2 years in treatment," she says. "The doctors told us." "Nora told you exactly what the doctors said." Camille looks over. Serena has followed her into the kitchen. She is barefoot now, her silver dress brushing the floor. Without the earrings, without the practiced event smile, she looks younger and far more tired. "Do you believe her?" Serena asks. "About what?" "That you heard impossible, because impossible was useful to you." Camille sets the glass down. "Be careful." Serena gives a small, incredulous laugh. "That voice works on your board. It does not work on me. I am not threatening you. You are trying to restore the hierarchy." Camille looks toward the windows. The city below is arranged in straight streets and predictable lights. From this height, even traffic looks obedient. "I watched her fail again and again," Camille says. "I watched what it did to her, to us. And you left for me. I loved you." "Loved?" Camille turns back. "Love." Serena studies her. "Then why have you said Nora's name 6 times since we left, and mine once?" Camille has no answer that does not worsen the room. Serena picks up her earrings and walks toward the bedroom. "Where are you going?" "To take off the dress you chose for me." The bedroom door closes. Camille remains in the kitchen. She sees Nora's hand beneath her stomach. Nora laughing before she noticed the stage. June standing beside her without attempting to control her response. Camille opens her phone and reads the message she sent. "Please tell me the truth." No reply. At midnight, Camille enters her home office. She finds the digital copy of the fertility file she returned to Nora. She reads every page. The word impossible does not appear once. Significant bilateral tubal scarring. Spontaneous conception, very unlikely. IVF consultation recommended. Ovarian reserve within expected range for age. Camille reads the lines until they stop behaving like medical language and become an accusation written in her own voice. She remembers Dr. Rahman explaining IVF. She remembers interrupting to ask for percentages. She remembers Nora saying there were still paths forward. She remembers believing that Nora's hope was denial. At 1:30, Camille searches IVF and blocked fallopian tubes. At 2:10, she searches pregnancy after tubal infertility. At 2:44, she opens the storage cabinet and removes a box of old medical records. The box has moved with her through 3 apartments because Camille saves documentation even when she forgets the event it documents. Annual exams, vaccinations, a wrist fracture from college, a laboratory report from 11 years ago. She nearly passes it. One line has been flagged. Positive chlamydia screening, follow-up treatment recommended. Camille reads the date. It is 7 months before she met Nora. There is no treatment confirmation attached. Camille searches her memory and finds nothing. No symptoms, no phone call, no prescription. She changed apartments that month. She changed clinics after taking the job that became her company. She may have been treated and lost the record. She may have never known. Possibility enters the room and refuses to leave. Camille looks back at Nora's file. Tubal scarring. Cause undetermined. At 3:06, she closes the folders. At 3:08, she opens them again. In the bedroom, Serena sleeps on the far side of the bed. Camille lies awake until morning. Camille sees Dr. Elise Morgan 2 days later. She chooses a physician across town, outside the network Nora once used. She sits in a private consultation room and places both records on the desk. "I need a direct answer," Camille says. Dr. Morgan reads the old result first, then Nora's copied summary. "A direct answer may not exist," she says. "Tell me what does exist." Dr. Morgan explains that chlamydia can be asymptomatic. If untreated, It can sometimes lead to pelvic inflammatory disease and scarring. Transmission between partners is possible. Tubal damage can have several causes, and years later, medicine may not be able to identify one origin with certainty. Could I have transmitted it to her? Camille asks. It is possible. Could that have caused the scarring? It is one medically plausible pathway. It is not proof of what happened in your former wife's case. Can testing prove it now? Not reliably. Even evidence of prior infection would not establish who transmitted what, or when the damage occurred. Camille presses her thumb against the edge of the folder. So I may have caused the condition I blamed her for. Dr. Morgan does not rescue her from the sentence. You may have contributed to a health outcome without knowing, she says. That is different from intentionally causing it. What you did after the diagnosis is a separate question. Camille looks up. You made a relationship decision with incomplete information, Dr. Morgan continues. Medicine can clarify risk. It cannot decide what you owe another person. Camille leaves with no certainty. For the first time in her life, certainty is not available for purchase, negotiation, or force. Serena finds the search history that evening. Camille has left her laptop open on the dining table. Serena is trying to print an itinerary. The browser restores the tabs automatically. Infertility after chlamydia. Tubal scarring IVF success. Can an untreated STI cause infertility years later? Serena closes the laptop before Camille enters, but not quickly enough. You are researching Nora again, she says. Camille stops beside the table. There is something I needed to understand. About her pregnancy? About the diagnosis. Serena folds her arms. What did you find? Camille could lie. The lie forms efficiently. Old records, nothing relevant, simple curiosity. She is suddenly exhausted by efficiency. I had an untreated infection before I met Nora, she says. Or I may have. There is a positive test and no treatment record. Her doctor could never identify what caused the scarring. My physician says it is possible I transmitted the infection, and possible it contributed. She cannot prove it. Serena sits down. You might have been part of the reason. Yes. And you left her because of it. I did not know. You did not know anything. That was the point. Camille looks at her. Serena's eyes fill, but her voice remains level. My fertility appointment was yesterday, she says. Camille had forgotten. The realization shows on her face. Serena nods once. Exactly. What did they say? My ovarian reserve is lower than expected. It does not mean I cannot have a child. It means I may need help and there are no promises. Camille pulls out the chair opposite her. We will get another opinion. There it is. There is what? The plan, the fix, the immediate campaign against uncertainty. I am trying to support you. No, you are trying to make me safe again. Camille goes still. Serena wipes beneath one eye with the heel of her hand. When you left Nora, you told me you were choosing honesty. I believed you, but you were choosing the woman you thought could give you the future you wanted, without making you afraid. I loved you. I believe you loved me. I no longer believe that was the only reason you came. Serena stands and walks to the bedroom. This time she returns with a suitcase. Where are you going? My sister's. For how long? You ask for timelines when you cannot control outcomes. Serena, please. Serena pauses at the door. Nora was not a failed route to your future, she says. And I am not the corrected route. We are people. Until you understand that, there is no room in this apartment where I can stand without being measured. The door closes. Camille remains at the dining table, with Nora's medical file on one side and Serena's forgotten itinerary on the other. For years, she believed power meant making decisions before fear could make them for her. Now she understands fear had been making them all along. Nora wakes the morning after the gala with Camille's message still unanswered. June is in the kitchen making toast. The bakery downstairs has already filled the apartment with the smell of cinnamon and warm flour. Iris presses one foot beneath Nora's ribs as Nora lowers herself into a chair. "Your daughter is trying to move the furniture," she says. June sets a plate in front of her. She has seen this apartment. She has valid concerns. Nora smiles, but June does not. "You slept badly," June says. "I am 31 weeks pregnant. Sleeping is theoretical." "That is not why." Nora reaches for the toast. June sits across from her. There is no accusation in her face. That makes honesty harder, not easier. "I keep replaying it," Nora says. "The way Camille looked at me. Did it feel good?" Nora considers lying for less than a second. "Part of it did." June nods. "I wanted her to understand that she was wrong," Nora continues. "I told myself I stopped caring. Then she saw me, and some ugly little part of me felt like I had finally won. That part is not ugly. It was hurt. Hurt can still be unfair." June looks down at her hands. "I need to ask something, and I need the real answer." Nora waits. "If Camille asked for you back, would any part of you want to go?" The question changes the room. Outside, a truck reverses with 3 sharp beeps. Someone laughs on the pavement below. The kettle clicks as it cools. Nora reaches across the table. June does not take her hand immediately. "Camille mattered to me," Nora says. "She still exists inside memories that shaped me. I cannot erase that without lying about my own life." June's gaze remains lowered. "But memory is not desire," Nora says. "And history is not a door." June looks up. "I do not want her back. I wanted her regret. Those are different things, and I should have admitted that sooner. Do you still want it? Less than I did yesterday. More than I wish I did." June finally places her hand in Nora's. "I can live with a complicated truth," she says. "I cannot live inside a simple lie." Nora squeezes her fingers. "Then I will give you complicated truth." They eat toast while Iris shifts between them, a life completely uninterested in elegant emotional timing. Camille sends no second message that day. 2 days later, an email arrives. "Nora, I reviewed records I should have understood years ago. There is medical information concerning me that may be relevant to your history. I do not have proof of causation, and I will not pretend I do. I believe you deserve the information. If you are willing, I can send it through your physician and have no direct contact with you. Camille." Nora reads the email in her office at the library. The maple window seat is warm beneath the afternoon sun. A group of children is building a paper city at the long table. They argue cheerfully about where the hospital should go. Nora reads the message again. Not an apology. Not yet. A fact approaching from a distance. She forwards it to Dr. Rahman and writes one sentence to Camille. "Send everything to my doctor. Do not contact me directly again." Camille replies 12 minutes later. "Understood." The records reach Dr. Rahman the following morning. She calls Nora into the clinic that afternoon. June comes but waits outside the consultation room because Nora asks her to. Dr. Rahman explains the same uncertainty Camille heard. A past untreated infection could have contributed to pelvic inflammation and tubal scarring. It could not be established now. Other causes remained possible. Knowing would not change the current pregnancy care, but Nora's medical history would be updated. "So she might have caused it," Nora says. "She might have contributed to it without knowing. That is not the same as certainty." Nora looks at the scan image pinned to the light board. Iris in profile. Forehead, nose, one raised hand. "She left me for something she may have brought into my life." Dr. Rahman folds her hands. "The medical possibility does not define the moral injury," she says. "Camille did not know the cause. She did know you were her partner. What she chose with the information she had belongs to a different conversation." Outside, June stands when Nora enters the waiting room. "Well?" Nora hands her the copied report. June reads it slowly. Anger moves across her face, hot and immediate. "She did this to you." "Maybe." "Nora, maybe is the truth. I will not turn uncertainty into a weapon just because she once used it against me. June closes her mouth. The anger remains, but something gentler enters beside it. What do you need? She asks. Nora looks through the clinic windows at the late afternoon traffic. I need to go home. I need to put my feet up. I need you to complain about the crib instructions until I get annoyed enough to stop thinking. The crib instructions are an insult to written language. There, that. June takes her hand. At home, they assemble the crib. Nora keeps Camille's report inside the medical folder. She does not underline anything. At 35 weeks and 2 days, Nora's water breaks beside the library's paper city. It happens at 4:17 on a Thursday afternoon. One moment she is helping a 7-year-old attach a cardboard bridge. The next, warmth runs down the inside of her leg. Nora looks at the clock, then at the hospital in the paper city. That feels unnecessarily symbolic, she says. Her assistant, Malik, stares at her. Are you in labor? Possibly. You are standing in a puddle. That strengthens the theory. The first contraction arrives before June answers the phone. It begins in Nora's lower back and closes around her abdomen with enough force to remove humor from the room. She grips the edge of the table and waits for it to pass. Malek is already moving children toward the other side of the library with the kind of cheerful authority used during fire drills. June answers, Hey, my water broke. There is a pause exactly 1 breath long. I am 12 minutes away. Sit down. Call the hospital. Do not carry anything. I know. I know you know. I am saying it because I am 12 minutes away. June arrives in 9. She enters carrying Nora's hospital bag, which she must have collected from the apartment, and wearing 2 different shoes. Nora points at them between contractions. June looks down. I made choices. Poor ones. Consistently. Come on. At Bellwether Medical Center, a nurse confirms rupture of membranes and regular contractions. Iris's heart rate is strong. 35 weeks is early, but not the edge of the world. The obstetric team explains what they will monitor, what support the baby may need, and which decisions cannot be made until labor shows them what it intends to do. Nora changes into a hospital gown. June braids Nora's hair with clumsy concentration. You are pulling! Your hair has opinions. Everything in this family has opinions. Another contraction rises. June stops talking and gives Nora her hand. At the admissions desk, an old field in Nora's electronic chart remains unchanged. Emergency contact. Camille Vale, spouse. The clerk calls before June corrects it. Camille is in a board meeting when her phone rings. She almost rejects the unfamiliar number. Something makes her answer. Ms. Vale, Bellwether Medical Center is calling, regarding Nora Bennett. You are listed as her emergency contact. Camille stands so quickly her chair strikes the wall. Around the table, 10 executives stop speaking. What happened? She has been admitted to labor and delivery. We need... Is she safe? The clerk hesitates. I cannot provide further information until we confirm. I am her former spouse. The record is outdated. Camille says the words and feels the accuracy of them. Former. Outdated. She should hang up. Instead, she drives to the hospital. She does not go upstairs. She sits in the main lobby beneath a wall-sized painting of yellow flowers and sends one message to June, whose number she obtained months ago from a foundation directory and never used. The hospital called me because an old record listed me as Nora's contact. I am downstairs. I will leave if my presence adds pressure. Please tell me only whether she and the baby are safe. June reads the message between contractions. Camille is here, she says. Nora is leaning over the raised bed, breathing through pain. Of course she is. The hospital called her by mistake. She is in the lobby. Nora closes her eyes. The contraction peaks, then recedes. Change the emergency contact. Already done. Tell her nothing until Iris is here. June types the response. Upstairs, labor continues. Downstairs, Camille waits. Serena calls once. Camille lets it ring out. They have spoken twice since Serena left. Both conversations were polite, careful, and final in ways neither woman named. At 9:40, Nora reaches for June with both hands. I cannot do another one. June presses her forehead against Nora's. You do not have to do all of them right now. Just this one. That sounds like something printed on a terrible card. Then insult me after. I plan to. The contraction takes the rest of the sentence. At 11:18, Dr. Rahman enters in blue scrubs. She was not scheduled at the hospital that night, but Malik called the clinic called her, and she came because sometimes care is a chain of people refusing to assume someone else will show up. Iris is tolerating labor well, she says. You are close. Nora is tired enough to hate the word close. June gives her ice, adjusts the cold cloth on her neck, says nothing when nothing is useful. At 12:07 in the morning, Iris Bennett is born. She is small, furious, and loud. Her cry cuts through the room before Nora can ask whether she is breathing. A nurse brings her close for one brief moment, warm skin against Nora's chest, then explains that the neonatal team needs to assess her because she is early. Nora touches the dark, wet hair at the back of Iris's head. Go with her, she tells June. June looks torn. Go, Nora repeats. Tell her one of us is there. June follows the nurse. For 11 minutes, Nora lies beneath hospital lights and discovers that time can become a physical weight. Then June returns. Her mask is damp near the eyes. She is breathing on her own, she says. They want to watch her temperature and blood sugar. She is 6 pounds, 1 ounce, and she tried to grab the nurse's badge. Nora begins to cry. That sounds like Iris. It really does. 2 hours later, a nurse places Iris in Nora's arms. The room becomes quiet around the fact of her. Nora studies the tiny curve of her ear, the serious crease between her brows, the hand opening and closing against the hospital blanket. This is not proof. Proof belongs to arguments. Iris is a person. June sits on the edge of the bed. Nora shifts enough to make space. Iris wraps 4 fingers around June's thumb. June looks at Nora. She has made a decision. She will reconsider when she sees the shoes you wore today. June laughs softly. At 3:15, June remembers Camille. She is still downstairs. Nora looks at Iris. Camille has been waiting for almost 7 hours in a lobby where no one owes her news. Tell her we are safe, Nora says. June sends the message. The reply arrives immediately. Thank you, I am leaving now. Nora reads it. Something inside her loosens, not because Camille came, but because she is finally capable of leaving when asked. Wait, Nora says. June looks up. Nora thinks of the medical report, the email, the years Camille converted uncertainty into a judgment Nora carried inside her own body. She thinks of how easily an unfinished conversation can become a room you keep returning to. Ask her to come up for 5 minutes. June does not hide her surprise. Are you sure? Nora looks down at Iris. For the first time, yes. Camille enters without a jacket. Her white shirt is creased from hours in the lobby. Her hair, usually exact, has fallen loose at one side. She stops inside the door when she sees Nora holding Iris. Nothing in Camille's face is controlled. Nora once believed seeing that expression would heal something. It does not. It simply tells the truth about Camille 5 years too late. June remains in the chair beside the bed. Camille looks at her. Thank you for telling me they were safe. June nods once. Camille steps closer. Her name is Iris, Nora says. Iris, Camille repeats. The baby opens her eyes briefly, unimpressed by history, then closes them again. Camille's mouth trembles. She is beautiful. She is. Camille keeps her hands at her sides. I owe you an apology, she says. Not because you became pregnant. That cannot be the condition that makes what I did wrong. Nora waits. I treated your diagnosis like a verdict on your value and on our future. I called my fear realism, I called leaving honesty, and I used Serena as if another person's body could guarantee me the life I wanted. June's hand closes around the arm of the chair, but she says nothing. Camille looks at Iris, and then back at Nora. The infection may have contributed. I know we cannot prove it. I also know that uncertainty does not clear me. I might have brought harm into your life without knowing. Then, when the harm asked something difficult of me, I left you to carry it alone. Nora feels the old pain move. It is still there. Healing has not erased it. Healing has changed who is responsible for holding it. You do not get to make Iris the lesson that improves you, Nora says. Camille absorbs the words. I know. And you do not get forgiveness, because you finally found language for the damage. I know that too. Nora adjusts the blanket around Iris. For a year, I believed my body had made me unworthy of being stayed for. I measured every appointment against the moment you chose someone else. Even after I met June, even after I became pregnant, part of me was still arguing with you in my head. Camille's eyes fill. I am sorry. I believe you. Hope flickers across Camille's face. Nora recognizes it and closes the distance before it can become another misunderstanding. Believing you are sorry is not the same as inviting you back into my life. Camille nods. The hope disappears, but she does not defend herself. Serena and I ended things, she says. Her test results were uncertain. I tried to turn them into a problem to solve. She understood before I did that I had chosen her, partly because I thought she was safe. Nora looks at Camille for a long moment. She deserved better than that. Yes, so did I. Yes. The simplicity of the answer matters. No explanation follows it. No qualification. No request that Nora acknowledge Camille's fear, confusion, childhood, ambition, or capacity for growth. Camille reaches into her bag and places an envelope on the side table. My complete medical record and the physician's summary. Your doctor already has copies. This is for you. There is also a letter. You do not have to read it. Nora looks at the envelope. I will decide later. Of course. Iris makes a small sound and turns her face toward Nora's chest. Camille looks at her one last time. I hope she has a life that never asks her to earn the right to be loved. Nora's hand settles over Iris's back. She will. Camille moves toward the door. Before she reaches it, Nora speaks. Camille? Camille turns. The hospital removed you as my emergency contact. Pain passes across Camille's face, then understanding. Good, she says. They should have done it a long time ago. She leaves. The door closes without drama. June waits until the footsteps disappear. How are you? Nora considers the question carefully. Tired, angry, relieved, hungry. Complicated truth. Complicated truth. June stands and climbs carefully onto the edge of the bed. Nora leans against her. Iris sleeps between them, one hand still curled as if holding something invisible. The envelope remains unopened on the table. For the first time, an unanswered thing does not control the room. Iris is 9 days old when June brings home the rocking chair. She found it in the storage room beneath the library, under a broken globe and 3 boxes of tax forms. The chair is maple, scarred at one arm, and old enough that no one remembers who donated it. June restores it during the hours when Iris sleeps and Nora cannot. She sands the wood in the workshop downstairs. She replaces one spindle. She leaves the small scar in the arm because, she says, repair is not the same as pretending nothing happened. When she carries it into the apartment, Nora runs her fingers over the smooth back. You made this beautiful. It was already worth repairing. June says it, while checking the floor beneath one rocker. She does not look up. She may not realize what else she has said. Nora does. The first weeks pass in fragments. Feeding, sleeping, waking because Iris has made a noise. then discovering she is perfectly content and only experimenting with sound. Tiny clothes washed, dried, folded, and unfolded, coffee reheated until it becomes a threat. June learns that Iris will sleep through construction noise but wakes if someone opens a bag of chips. Nora learns that a person weighing 6 pounds can occupy every available thought. Camille's envelope remains in the desk drawer. On the 12th day, Nora opens it. The medical summary contains nothing Dr. Rahman has not already explained. The letter is 3 pages long. Camille does not ask for contact. She does not ask Nora to reassure her. She writes that she has begun therapy. She writes that Serena was right. She had spent her life turning people into outcomes and calling the process leadership. She writes that she hopes to learn how to remain present when no outcome can be controlled. Nora reads the letter once. Then she files it with the medical records. She does not reply. 4 weeks later, Nora visits the library with Iris. The staff gathers around the stroller. Malik announces that the paper city survived but the cardboard bridge did not. A 7-year-old asks whether babies can have library cards. Nora says they can as soon as their mothers stop crying long enough to complete the form. June stands near the east window. The maple seat catches the morning sun. Rain has fallen twice since the repair, and the frame has held. Nora joins her. "Still lying?" she asks. June presses a hand against the wood. This one tells the truth now. Iris stirs in Nora's arms. June touches one finger to her palm. Iris grips it immediately. "She remembers me," June says. "You fed her 40 minutes ago." A profound bond. Nora laughs. Across the room, a volunteer has left a newspaper open on the desk. Camille's photograph appears beside an article about a new civic project. Black suit, controlled smile. The same woman, and not the same woman. Nora notices the image without feeling pulled toward it. She turns the page. That evening, rain begins while June makes dinner. Nora sits in the restored rocking chair with Iris against her shoulder. The apartment smells like bread from downstairs and garlic from the stove. The pipes complain. The upstairs radio plays the same old song. Nora's phone lights on the table. An unknown number. For 1 second, the old reflex returns. The belief that every interruption may contain a verdict. Then Iris sighs against her neck. June looks over from the stove. "Are you going to get that?" Nora watches the phone go dark. "If it matters, they can leave a message." June tastes the sauce. That is suspiciously healthy. Do not make it a thing. Too late. Nora smiles. The phone does not light again. For years, Nora imagined pregnancy as an answer she would place in front of Camille. Evidence that the doctors had been wrong, that Camille had been cruel, that Nora's body deserved a different verdict. But Iris is not an answer to Camille. She is not revenge. She is not proof. She is not the corrected ending to Nora's first marriage. She is Iris. June brings 2 bowls to the small table and returns for Nora. She takes Iris with one arm and offers Nora the other hand. Nora rises from the chair. Outside, rain moves across the city, without asking anyone whether it is convenient. Inside, the repaired window holds. Nora once believed being chosen meant someone promised never to leave. Now she understands it differently. Being chosen is someone meeting the truth as it changes, someone staying without demanding a guarantee, someone making room for fear without letting fear make every decision. Camille had seen Nora pregnant beneath a glass roof and finally understood what she had lost. Nora holds June's hand and understands something better. Her life was never built to teach Camille a lesson. It was built to be lived. Iris opens her eyes. The window holds, and that is enough. If you have ever been reduced to a diagnosis, a limitation, or someone else's fear, remember this: difficulty is not worthlessness, and another person's decision is not the final measure of your life. Share Nora's story with someone who needs to hear that they are more than the certainty another person demanded from them.